Hello everyone. Today I'm doing something a bit different. I'm having only one game I'm looking at. Just one game. I know what's going on. There's a reason for that. The game is called Root Double, and I'll take it out of its cellophane so you can have a proper look at the cover art. So here we are, PS Vita game Root Double. Before Crime, After Days, the Xtend edition. Now there's a bit of a story behind this, as there often is with many of my games. I'd ordered this together with another item from PlayAsia. As you can see, it's another one of the PlayAsia exclusives, a game published by EastAsia Soft, one of the very, very few companies left that have been putting out physical Vita games for us when nearly everybody else had given up. The package arrived just before Christmas, and there was an error in the packing, and they sent me a wrong item, not Root Double. Well, Christmas time, you can imagine. I contacted them straight away, and despite all the logistical problems, because New Zealand basically shuts down between Christmas and New Year, we managed to sort out something, because I had to send the incorrect item back, because that was another exclusive edition which was by now sold out. So some poor customer somewhere had not received their precious item, and I obviously wanted my Root Double. So I sent one item back to Hong Kong, and they dispatched Root Double to me, and it got here really fast. And I just want to say thank you to the customer service at PlayAsia. I'm really thrilled to finally have it, which means I can now do a video about it. How can I possibly do a video without having played the game? That's why today I'm calling on Vita Gamer George, the extraordinary and highly competent Vita expert, you'd have to say, to give us her very personal guest review here on the channel. George has written about a Root Double on her review website, Vita Paradisa, and don't worry, I'm putting all the details I'm mentioning here, names, links, everything goes in the description below, so you can look up everything and follow up what you're interested in. So as I mentioned, George has written a review, but I wanted something a bit more personal about the game, because I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. The game is not available digitally in my region. It has been available since 2018 on the North American store, and technically I could have bought it there, but I never did. I sort of held back, always hoping there might be a physical release, and my dream wish came true. We got one. But I just want to fill you in, because obviously there are several options if you're interested in buying the game. So the digital version on the PS Vita store costs $40 US, that's North America, or 33 British pounds, that's in the UK. I can't tell you about any other regional stores because I don't have information. So if any of you in particular in Europe would like to chip in and let us know, that would be great. Now the physical copy is a bit more expensive, but you may wish to consider it for a variety of reasons. It costs $50 US, or 43 euros, or 38 British pounds plus shipping. So it does come more expensive, but it is physical, and as you know, with all these smaller limited editions from Eastasia Soft, it comes with an original soundtrack, a numbered certificate, and a printed manual. A very, very small one, you know, in the game case, but it is something. It's better than nothing, let's face it. I will try and get, as usual, the cellophane off while I talk about an interesting issue concerning this game with the file size. Now that's another consideration when you buy the game, of course, memory card space being, you know, precious, and we usually don't have enough. So this game has a file size of 3 point something gigabytes. It's close to the 4 gigabyte mark, which is the limit for what can fit on a Vita cartridge. 4 gigabytes exactly, and that would include all the system files and what Sony needs and all the extras, etc. So this was always going to be tight, and for the longest time publishers thought they would simply not be able to fit it on a cartridge and make a physical copy. So I'll just show you the cover again without the cellophane and the reverse side. We obviously did get a physical copy, so they managed it. How, when previously nobody wanted to attempt it? Well, I found a message on Twitter going back to September 2020 where Sekai Games tweeted, Eastasia Soft were awesome, I'm quoting here. They found a way to reduce the game's size without throwing away any content or quality so that it could fit on the cartridge. And there we are. Magic. So here we are, Root Double soundtrack, and you know what? I'll get it out of its cellophane and I'll put it straight on in the background. So here's the soundtrack. I've kept the soundtrack music quite low. I'm hoping I've got that right, and you can hear just a little bit. It's difficult to judge. So there are 2 discs, and I just wanted to show you the insert with some nice artwork. So I've switched off the TV in the background. I was a bit worried that there might be too much flickering and reflection. So here we have the game, and I'll just quickly get the cellophane off. Yay, there's a little tab. And here it is, I'm finally holding it in my hands. Root Double. I think the cover artwork is very nice. The key to survival lies in your hands. So a quick look at the manual. It details the controls. There's a bit about the story and how to play, the characters, and I won't show you any of that in detail, because with visual novels sometimes there can be spoilers. So quite a cast of characters. And as usual, they detail the trophies at the end. So it's nice to have. Very small, very simply produced, but the colour production, the detail is nice and it's well readable. So I just want to, as usual, give you a little bit of background, sort of to tie in with what George is going to talk about. So Root Double is a visual novel released originally for Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows in 2012. An updated version with a new ending called Xtend Edition was released for PlayStation 3 and PS Vita in 2013-2014 in Japan. Sekai Project brought it to the West in English for Windows, so PC, in 2016. The PlayStation Vita version was released in North America in 2018, and I already mentioned that, the digital version, and it is now also available digitally in the UK. As I said, I don't have information about other European countries, so any of you, please feel free to leave a comment and information, as usual, in our weekly chat. And in 2020 the game was also ported to the Nintendo Switch. So it does have good coverage on all platforms, but naturally I was particularly keen to get the Vita version. If that physical edition had not come out, I probably would have got it on the Switch, because to me a visual novel is really mainly a handheld experience. Why was I so keen on the game? Well, you probably know a bit by now what kind of stories I like, and this one falls pretty squarely into that category. It's certainly got a futuristic science fiction type of setting, and I always find that appealing. The director and producer is called Takumi Nakazawa. He cited the works of Christopher Nolan, Memento and Inception, and J.J. Abrams as heavy influences on Root Double. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the flavour, I suppose. The game is set in 2030, so actually not that far away, in a combined city and research hub where residents are unable to interact with the outside world without permission. After an accident at an institute, one of the game's two protagonists is sent in as part of a rescue team, and the other protagonist is a high school student. We always need a high school student who happens to be in the institute at the time of the accident. So that is the setting or background, and obviously I'm not going any further, and neither is George, so you do not have to worry about listening to what she has to say. Absolutely no spoilers whatsoever. I always find the structure of a visual novel very interesting and really, really important for the gameplay experience. Now, I find the structure of this visual novel really very clear-cut and straightforward, at least on paper. I hope it is. At the start of the game, there are two story scenarios for the player to choose from: route after and route before, called A and B for short. And I mention this because George will be talking about that, so just remember A and B. And each scenario is told from a different character's perspective. There are two more routes which will unlock once you've done the original two. So that's it. It's very straightforward. I like that. So finally, we're coming to the important part, and that is our guest, Georgina, known as George generally. She's on Twitter, Vita Gamer George, and many of you might know her from there or from her website, Vita Paradisa. You may also recall, if you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, that she did a guest review for us some time ago for Mercenary Kings. So I just want to quickly give you a little bit of background about George, because I think it's important we know who it is who's telling us about games. She's not just an avid Vita gamer and a great member of our Vita Island community. She's had 3 of her reviews published in Sandeep's book trilogy about the PS Vita, and I'll just quickly show you those. In the first book, which is the year 1 of the PlayStation Vita, She wrote about Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward. In PlayStation Vita Years 2 and 3, she wrote about Vagrant Story. And in the third and final book, she wrote about what I know to be one of her personal favourites, and that is Shovel Knight. So you can see George has contributed a lot to the Vita community. She also writes about other topics around gaming, and I always like to keep up with what she does because it's well worth reading. In 2019 she wrote an article called The History of Otome and the Ruby Team Legacy. And that is a really, really interesting article if you are keen on Otome and want to understand a bit more about the background history, where it came from and how it slowly gained importance and influenced other video games. This is my numbered certificate, which comes with all these editions. Okay, finally, I've talked enough. It's time for George to give us her thoughts on Root Double.
Hello, George here from Vita Paradisa, coming to you live from the Vita Palace, and today Britta asked me to talk about, if I get it the right way around, Root Double. So I haven't opened my one, but Britta said that she's going to open her one in the video, so I won't do that today. But the reason that I bought the physical is because I actually had the chance to review the digital copy way back when it came out on the NA PSN. And I absolutely loved it. It's a really, really big file, so it is sort of good to get it physically so that you can delete your digital file or, you know, just pick up that one. It's got a really long name because it has 5 different routes, A, B, C, D, and E. And when you start, you can pick either A or B. Everyone told me that I should have picked A first, but actually I found that when I did B first, it still, you know, still had a lot of mystery for me. So I wouldn't worry about which one you pick first. There's still like mystery either way you go with it. The interesting thing about Root Double is that it has, instead of like dialogue options and things, you have to choose how much you trust specific characters in each situation. And then, you know, if you put the trust in the wrong person, then you're going to end up dead, essentially. But if you put the trust in the right person, then, you know, the story continues. And you can carry on from any of the deaths, so you don't really have to worry about that. The reason people say go A first instead of B is because A sort of puts you right into the action. B gives you a little more backstory. But I think getting the backstory first still leaves like mysteries open when you start C, which is like where the routes converge. I enjoy playing B first. Maybe if you're not so into like the slice of life thing, because B is a very slice of life route, then maybe go A first and get yourself invested into the story. But yeah, it's a visual novel, mostly just reading. If you're not into that, then maybe not, but it is like sci-fi. Yeah, I was really into the story and I still think about it sometimes now, so I think that's the mark of a good story if you're still thinking about it years after you played it. I would definitely recommend it. It was one of my, I think I put it as like my second favourite game the year it came out, only second to Deadbolt, which if you've played that is absolutely incredible. So it'll show you how good it is. I rated it above Deathmark, which is another game that I absolutely love. Yeah, I definitely recommend giving Root Double a shout. I don't want to tell any of the story here because, you know, the story is the game. So if I ruin anything, I don't want to do that now. But it's really good, really worth checking out. It's really, really long. So if you don't have like 40 to 60 hours to spend reading, then you might want to put it off until you have more time. But otherwise, yeah, a thorough recommendation from me. So I'll hand you back to Britta. Bye.
I hope you found that interesting, that it gave you another insight into a game you might not be familiar with or might not even have heard of. Maybe it sparked an interest in getting the game, the visual novel. So that was all for today. Root Double. Thank you very much to George for doing this video for us, and thank you to you as always for watching and being part of our little community. Please keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye bye.